Hello and welcome back to the channel. In this video I'll be sharing with you how to cut this conical asymmetric princess dart blouse. So if this is something you like, please don't forget to hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up. Let's dive right into today's video. So first, here is my pattern paper, and I've gone ahead to mark out all my basic measurements, which includes my shoulder to bust, shoulder to under bust, shoulder to waistline, and I'll be marking my top length, which is about 5 inches after my waistline. So I'll go ahead and I will mark out my blouse length. Next, I'll mark my shoulder divided by 2 and I'll add ½ inch to it. I'll come down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope, and I'll go ahead to mark my basic neckline of 3 by 3 inches, which will be serving as a guide for this pattern. After marking that, I'm just going to go ahead to connect this to my shoulder. Next is to mark my chest line, and to get that is your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. Mine is 7. I went ahead to make a mark and also mark what I have back on the shoulder, just to make sure I have a straight line at that point. So I'll extend my line because that will be serving as my chest line, divide my armhole into 2, and I will mark. From that point, I'll be coming in by ½ inch. Now on the bust, on the chest line, I'll be marking my bust circumference divided by 4, and I'll just go ahead to use that as a guide and connect to my armhole. So after I'm done doing this, I'll just go ahead and outline my armhole area, and next we'll be working on the lower part of the pattern, and to do that I'll be marking my nipple to nipple divided by 2. So my nipple to nipple divided by 2 is 3.5. that is 7 inches divided by 2. I have 3.5. You can also call it your bust pan. So I'll go ahead and I'll connect my pattern all the way to the lower part. So I'll be marking a dart intake of 1 inch at both sides. So you can decide to mark ½ inch on one side and also use 1.5 on the both sides. You'll be having the same 2 inches dart intake. So I'll just go ahead and I will connect my pattern and also connect at the other side of my pattern. So after I'm done connecting, I'm going to connect from my bust down to my under bust, and I'm also going to repeat this same process at the other side. So I'm just going to connect from my bust down to the under bust, and I'll use my marker to mark this out to make it more visible for you to see. So after that, I'll go ahead and divide my armhole into 2 and I will mark. So from that point, I'm going to connect it down to my bust line, and I'll be making use of my curve drill, and I'll go ahead just to connect. So this is what I have at this point. So next, I'll be taking a dart intake of ½ inch on both sides for my dart, and I'm just going to go ahead to blend in. After I'm done blending in, that's that intake I have on both sides. That is ½ inch, ½ inch. I'm just going to go ahead to extend it out. That is the 1 inch out of the armhole, because the side part of a princess dart is always shorter most times when you're joining. So that is to make up for that side. So I'll go ahead and insert my bust circumference divided by 4, and I will mark this dart intake I have here back to the pattern, and I'll go ahead to add my sewing allowance. So after I'm done doing that, I'll just take it up to the chest line, and I'll go ahead to connect it back, being my new armhole. So now I'll just go ahead and I will use my marker to outline the rest of my pattern this way. And after that, we are going to go ahead to insert or mark the rest of the body measurements. At the under bust, I'm going to mark my under bust circumference divided by 4. Then I'll go ahead to measure the 2 inches dart intake I have, replace and add my sewing allowance. Go ahead to mark my waist circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake, replace and add my sewing allowance. Here I'll mark my hip circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake, replace, and I'll add my sewing allowance to the pattern. After that, I'll go ahead and add extra 1.5 inches to the pattern. So you can use 2 inches also if you want. And I'll just go ahead to connect this to the rest of my pattern this way. So after I'm done doing that, I'll just go ahead to trace out my pattern and trace what I have on the other side. So after I'm done doing that, this is what I have. So at the neckline, I'll be going in by ½ inch on both sides. So from that point, I'll come down by my neckline about 5 inches or 6, and I will connect. So after I'm done connecting, I'm just going to go ahead to come down again about 7 or 8 inches, and I'll go ahead to connect. So from this side, I'll just connect. That is that ½ inch I have at the shoulder at the other side. I'll just go ahead to connect. So this is what I have at this part. So this is where you're going to be inserting your button. That is the button on the thumbnail on those dress. That is after you're done joining your dress. Moving over to the side of the pattern, I'm just going to go ahead to start from this point, and I'll come up about 2 inches at this part, and I'll go ahead to connect. So from here, I will take or mark the center point, and I will connect this way. So this is what I have. Then when you blend in, you notice this is what your pattern will be looking like. And from here also, I'll come down by 2 inches, and I'll go ahead to connect. Then blend this up, your dart up this way, and I'm going to extend it all the way to the side, and I'll be taking the total length of 5 inches after my waistline. So after I'm done doing that, I'll just go ahead to cut out my pattern. So at this point, if you find this tutorial very interesting and educative, please don't forget to hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and also leave your comment at the comment section. So if you have any question regarding this pattern illustration or pattern drafting, please go ahead to leave it also at the comment section. So after cutting, this is what I have. So this is what the pattern looks like, and next we'll be moving over to the back pattern. So for the back pattern, I've gone ahead to mark out all my basic measurements just like we did for the front pattern. The only difference is that I have a zipper in front and my neckline is 3 by 1.5 inches. So after that, I went ahead to mark my nipple to nipple divided by 2, or my bust span divided by 2. So I went ahead to mark it out, draw a straight line, and I connected it. Next, I'll be marking my dart intake of ½ inch on both sides, and I'll go ahead to connect and also connect at the upper part. Then go ahead to extend my darts at the lower part. So after this, I'll be inserting my bust circumference divided by 4 mark, and I'll add my sewing allowance. At the waist, I'll mark my waist circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake, replace, and add my sewing allowance. So remember, all the measurements you're taking is starting immediately after your zip. Now at the lower part, I'll mark my hip circumference divided by 4, and I will be adding my sewing allowance of 1 inch and go ahead to mark that extra 1.5 inches. So sorry, the lower part was not showing very well when I was marking that out. So just bear in mind that you're going to add your sewing allowance and extra 1.5 inches just like we did for the front part. So I'll just go ahead to connect from my chest line down to the waist point. So you can also mark your shoulder to under bust if you want to. So I'll just go ahead and I will connect. Then from my waistline, I'll connect back. So I'll be using this pattern to cut the both sides of the back, because at one part of the back, one length is a bit longer and the other side is shorter. Just like we have in front, one part is 3 inches from the waistline and the other part is 5 inches. So I went in by ½ inch at the waistline, and I will extend it up and also take it down. This is to get rid of the bulginess at the back of the dress. So I'll go ahead and I will cut out this pattern before we go ahead to alter the pattern. So if you have any question, please don't forget to also leave it at the comment section. So for your back pattern, you can slit it into 2, or you can just sew in your dart. So I'll go ahead and I will cut out the bulginess at the back of the dress. This is to help make the back of the dress not to pop up while you're wearing it, because there's no bust at the back of the dress. So now to work on the lower part of this pattern, all I'm going to do is from the top length, I'm just going to go ahead to create a curve, and I'll connect it to the zipper point this way, and I'll just go and trace this out. So this is the part for you know the top has two lengths, one is 5 inches and the other one is about 3 inches. So now I'll just take out 2 inches from that side, draw a curve, and I'll connect. So if you find this tutorial very interesting and educative, please don't forget to hit on the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up.